Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we're going to be jumping down into the world of Cardano, taking a look at what's been going on, what we think is going to be happening next and all that wonderful stuff. As I get into the video, if you find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you are new, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. If you haven't yet joined us in Discord guys, check it out, link is in the description below. Let's jump right down into the video though. So Cardano paired up with USDT. This is actually the weekly chart and Binance is our data source. And I want to start here just because it's actually a really nice story for Cardano's ADA, right? So it shows a good progression potential to the upside over the next few years and some great accumulation that is occurring as well. Obviously, we're not necessarily done with our lows just yet. We know this. We talk about this quite a bit. There is still potential for deeper prices on Cardano ADA and what an opportunity that could mean. So let's take a look, right? So as you can kind of see, we have our 2020 through to the highs of 2021 as a 5-wave structure. As you guys know, if you start with 5 waves, we must end in 5 waves. This gives us a lot of encouragement to take a look at an impulsive 5-wave movement to the upside in the next bull market for Cardano ADA. This means we will be testing and pushing some pretty nice and significant highs. So we'll talk more about that in a moment. But before we kind of talk about, where the future potential lies for Cardano ADA, let's actually take a look at what's going on with our Gaussian channel. Now, our Gaussian channel is a good indication as to whether we can be bullish or bearish. It uses some moving averages and it helps us understand kind of where things sit. Let's just take a look back here in the early stages of 2020. We can see that we had a nice surge above the Gaussian channel. We came back down to test it and then we really moved up quite rapidly. Of course, once we closed inside the Gaussian channel, we went down into the bear market, right? Again, we can take a look here, a false start, pull back down, and again, this is very similar to kind of where we were back with basically the pandemic and Bitcoin. Bitcoin pushed up, came back down below the Gaussian channel. In the case of Cardano ADA here, it failed to close above the Gaussian channel and came back to the downside. And a new bear market low happened in 2020, whereas the bear market low for Bitcoin was in 2018. Okay, understanding that most altcoins actually bottom after Bitcoin has bottomed. Okay, so we take a look at where we are right now, where we're down here. We've been testing the Gaussian channel a little bit, as you can kind of see. We pushed up into the highs. Let's actually go ahead and just draw a line on here at 46.17. So we tested this high and we got rejected. We basically failed to close inside the Gaussian channel and we got rejected and came to the downside. Now we know on the smaller time frames that what we're really looking at here is a 5-wave structure and we're looking to come on down deeper, and I do suspect that we're going to come down lower than 20 cent. Okay, again, that to me is not a strong area to be. Current low sits at 22 cent, and I suspect that we're going to land somewhere between 18 and 22 cent. So I wouldn't be surprised if we drop down lower than 20. As we can see, there's some areas of consolidation previously around that 15 cent area. Also a very, very interesting zone for us. At the moment, it looks like we should be between 17.98 and 20.37 on those lows. So we know that there's a new bear market low just around the corner here that we need to be enjoying, right? I mean, there's going to be some fantastic accumulations to be had in those lows before we maybe accumulate a bit more for the next move upwards. Now, this doesn't show us yet whether or not that's going to be the bear market low point or whether we're going to have to come down deeper. As I was talking about with Bitcoin, when the Fed pivot, we're going to see an almighty crash, and Cardano ADA is already at a very significant low level, meaning that we are likely to see further downside, and it's going to probably be quite significant. So again, I take a look at that kind of 15 cent range and I think to myself, yeah, there's probably somewhere between 10 and 15 cent as a future potential here. Now, that's going to be fantastic for accumulating if that is the case. So always make sure that we prepare ourselves for those possibilities, but we don't want to hold out for them. And the reason for that is all about risk management. We want to make sure that we're dollar cost averaging and we're building positions at these low levels. Anything below 20 cent is a fantastic steal in my humble opinion, but that's all it is. I'm not a financial advisor. I cannot give you financial advice. All I can do is give you my thoughts and opinions on how I would approach the market. So when I see this and I say to myself, okay, well, we probably are going to be going down, I want to kind of ease myself into the market and build bigger positions. Now, fortunately, I don't actually need any more Cardano. I'm quite happy with my position on Cardano, and I'm actually looking at building out other positions in other projects. But if I do see a 10-cent ADA, I'm not sure I'll be able to help myself, because I probably will end up having to just have to buy more. At that price, you just have to, right? So that is what that is. As we can see, we're below the 50 and 200 weekly moving averages. Again, not looking great. We can also see a death cross within that range just here happening in May, where we actually see the short-term 50 EMA moving down lower than that of the 200 EMA. So we know that everything's not looking overly great on that weekly time frame. So from a weekly standpoint, what are we looking for? Is there any kind of tails here? Well, we have some progression potential to the upside. But I think we have to kind of, unfortunately, move down, finish off that structure, and then bounce up, and then potentially move down even further. This bear market for Cardano doesn't look like it's coming to an end anytime soon. I reckon we've got months left before we actually see this bottom out. So kind of keep that in mind as we kind of think about, yeah, price might bounce up a little bit, but essentially, if we're talking about big macro movements, we've probably got further to the downside to be expecting, which brings us to future potentials. As I said, we start with 5 waves, we must end in 5 waves. That means that our move in the next bull market, needs to be a 5-wave structure, and that 5-wave structure will be impulsive. So it looks like it's going to be pretty good. Now, we can come down pretty deep here and still have a very impactful move to the upside in the next bullish market for Cardano, and that's great. Where would invalidation sit? Well, invalidation would sit down here at 1.77 cent. That's not a number that I think we're likely to hit on Cardano ADA. If we do, then of course I will be stacking up stupid amounts of ADA at that point, and I just don't think that I'm going to get that opportunity. Of course, I do think we're going to come down a bit deeper, and we'll see how that kind of goes. But for now, we're just going to keep this on around 19.64 cent, as it's an area that could be our bottom or a local bottom for a medium amount of time. As we can kind of see, a new all-time high is kind of inevitable at that point in time there. You can see that we'll probably be looking between the 618 and the 786 as a nice comfortable range. That basically puts Cardano between $4.77.6 and $11.37.04. That gives us a very, very nice return on our investments. Now, from our current pricing, you're talking about 1,500% to about 3,800%. Now, that's great, but most of my ADA I actually accumulated much earlier on, and I've been holding for quite some time, just getting it staked and all that stuff. We actually did most of our purchases around this wave 2 low point down here, and so if we were to come up to this point, I'll be talking about 6,000%, upwards of 15,000%. So for me, that's looking pretty nice, but that's not the true potential. That's just an area that I think we're going to consolidate into. The actual potential sits way up here between $34.32 and $116.09. Now, again, that's going to be a challenge to get there. It's not something that's going to happen instantaneous, and it's not something that is we can kind of talk about lightly. There's a lot of metrics that we have to think about, or more specifically, 2 key metrics that we have to think about in order to drive price to those key levels. The first one is going to be supply of ADA. Okay, if we want to push price to $34 to $116, we need the supply of ADA to shrink. Okay, and we shrink that by getting it locked up. Okay, so total value locked is growing, and it's growing in a bear market in dollar value. That is very impressive nonetheless. So we know that the supply of ADA is shrinking, which is positive. The more projects that build on Cardano, the smaller the supply will become, because people will be using that supply for the use case of the dApps that are being built. The second thing that we need is going to be demand. Where does that demand come from? Well, the demand is going to come from the users who want to use the apps. They're going to need ADA to, let's say yield farm in DeFi, for example, or they're going to need that to that ADA to play their games on the, let's say, 𝗕𝗃𝗪𝗪s, for example, right? And so there's going to be a demand for ADA that comes in with the dApps that are being built on the ecosystem, and the supply that's going to shrink with the dApps that are being built on the ecosystem. So there's a lot kind of pivoting on, or a lot of hope, I guess, held against the 1,200 dApps that are building on the Cardano ecosystem. There's also a big migration from Cardano Cardano. We can see this happening within the data as well. Large investors in ETH are abandoning ship. You can see that quite clearly with the significant movements of ETH away from very specific types of wallets and so forth. So one of the things I would say here is that it's going to be hard to push up to $34 to $116, but not impossible. And again, for anyone who says market cap in the comments down below, you really need to research market cap. The price dictates the market cap. The market cap does not dictate the price. The market cap does not represent liquidity. The market cap does not represent the money that's in a project. The market cap is a theoretical number that is basically price multiplied by supply. And therefore, it tricks retail investors into thinking that it stops price movement. It really does not. Market cap here in the crypto space is not the same as market cap in the stock market, where there's a company stock that is actually, holding a value as such. Here, you have something that is far too liquid. And that's not even the right word, I guess. It's more that the number of coins change dramatically, i.e., let's say a project decides to burn 50 billion tokens. Let's just say it's like, XRP or whatever. That's going to basically double the price or double the market cap of XRP instantaneously. No extra investor would have to do anything, right? And so that's an important thing to understand, that the supply and the price are two things that relate to each other to drive out the market cap for crypto. And you cannot look at it in the same way of trying to figure out whether or not a project has value based on the market cap. You actually have to look a lot deeper than that within the crypto space. So if you're going to be kind of thinking you can't possibly go to $34, do you know what the market cap would be? Yes, I know what the market cap would be, and it's absolutely irrelevant. You have to dig much deeper than that. But again, let me know your thoughts on that one in the comments down below. I know what people are going to say. Nonetheless, I do not think it's realistic to be talking about $116 ADA anytime soon. That's going to probably be something that's going to happen much further down the line. But I do think that a $34 ADA is something that we could potentially see, and we could see a big driving force behind ADA in the near future. Now, the other thing that's going to be kind of something that we have to kind of consider here are the ETFs, and specifically BlackRock's ETF application for Bitcoin. This is going to drive a lot of attention on cryptocurrency, and is going to basically be, I think, one of the big drivers in the next bullish market. I don't think that's going to get rejected. I don't think the SEC would reject it, and if they try to, I think 𝗕𝗪𝗀𝗪𝗓 would get fired for it, and it would still get approved. I think it's an inevitability that the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF is going to get approved, and as such, we're going to see a lot of additional eyeballs on crypto, and I think ADA is going to get a lot more attention on the back of that as well. So I think there's a lot of positives to be had here. Although I do think the bear market continues here for ADA, I think the future is incredibly bright, and a $34 ADA, I think, is something that we can all aspire towards. I'm going to leave the video right there though, guys. If you have found it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, guys, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done out of the way, guys, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.
We are not financial advisors, and none of what we have communicated verbally or in writing here should be considered as financial advice. It is not. Do your own research before investing in any digital asset or affiliate offers, and understand that investing in any crypto is risky. If you do, you need to be prepared to lose your entire investment. This video is for information and entertainment purposes only. All our videos are strictly personal opinions. Please make sure you do your own research and never take our opinions for financial guidance. There are multiple strategies, and not all strategies fit all people. Our videos are not financial advice.